All right, so moving on to the final segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on which NFL teams will take a step forward and which NFL teams will take a step back this upcoming NFL season. So I have a total of 6 teams on my list. 3 teams that I do believe will take a step forward, and 3 teams that I do believe will take a step back this upcoming NFL season. So we'll start off with teams that will take a step forward. Team number 1 on my list is the Chicago Bears. Now, I know the Chicago Bears had a rough season. They finished the season at 5-12. Caleb Williams, their starting quarterback, that was the first overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft, didn't really have a strong, or 2024, excuse me, didn't really have a strong rookie season. He was sacked 68 times, and Matt Eberflus was not a good head coach for him in his rookie season. And mind you, he was fired before the season ended after that crazy controversial ending to that Bears and Lions Thanksgiving game. Clock management was a huge issue for Matt Eberflus, and that was one of the reasons why he was fired. But the Bears have just hit the jackpot. They acquired Ben Johnson, the hottest head coach to be hired, and he was an offensive mastermind with the Detroit Lions last year, being their offensive coordinator. And they had a great draft. They also rebuilt their offensive line to protect Caleb Williams, give him more protection, and give him more time in the pocket to throw the football to their receiving options that they have. In Chicago, they have DJ Moore, they have Odunze, and they also just brought in Luther Burton, who I thought was a draft steal wide receiver from the SEC, and they also brought in Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. So playing with this Bears offense, I think the Bears are going to take a step forward. They're going to make a run they're going to give teams like the Detroit Lions or the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings a run for their money in the NFC North, which I believe will be the best division of football this year. But when you look at what they have on the defensive side of the ball, they have a lot of talented defensive backs. I think the defense is going to improve. I think this team is going to make some noise in the NFC North. So they're going to be better than a 5-12 record. And I think they could contend to win this division. So a step forward in direction for the Chicago Bears, I do believe, is in their future. The next team on the list will be the Denver Broncos. Now, I think the Denver Broncos are set to have a right direction moving forward, and I think they're going to take a step forward. And last year, the Denver Broncos went 10-7 last year. They made the playoffs for the first time since Super Bowl 50 when they won their last Super Bowl, playing Super Bowl 50 against the Carolina Panthers. But last year they took a right step in the right direction because Bo Nix had a really good rookie season. The Broncos had a really good defense last year, and they locked up one of the final wildcard spots in the AFC. And they had a top 10 scoring offense and a top 10 scoring defensive unit last year. And last season they had a total of 63 sacks on the defensive side of the ball. They improved during the NFL offseason. They acquired Evan Ingram, the former tight end of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's going to help Bo Nix. They also got Hufanga, Dre Englaw, and they also drafted one of the best first-round picks, in my opinion, Jahdae Barron, cornerback from Texas, to play alongside the best cornerback in the National Football League, Patrick Surtain. So I definitely think the Denver Broncos are set to move forward. I think they're going to have a right step in direction, and they're going to have a great year. And they could also make some noise in the AFC West. That could be one of the best divisions of football with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. So I think they could have a great season next year if they can continue to ride off what they had last year. And the final team that will take a step forward is going to be my Dallas Cowboys. Now, I think the Cowboys are going to have 10 wins or more next year. I'm not one of those delusional fans that are going to say this is our year to win it all, but they're going to improve from what they were last year, being a 7-10 team, having one of the worst defensive units in the league. And I even think with Brian Schottenheimer, his first year as an NFL head coach, they're going to be more successful with him than their chances of rolling the dice again, bringing in Mike McCarthy for another season. And last year we finished 7-9, but this team wasn't 100% throughout the entire NFL season. Dak Prescott missed the final 9 games of the year with a hamstring injury, and the defense was banged up and unhealthy all year long. And you saw, if you watched the final 5 to 6 games of the Dallas Cowboys, they did improve defensively, minus that 40 burger that the Philadelphia Eagles put on us. But both sides of the ball will improve offensively, defensively. They just hit the jackpot, in my opinion. That George Pickens trade is going to be so great for the Dallas Cowboys. You got a strong number one wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, to play alongside George Pickens. I think that's going to be a lethal duo on the outside of the wide receiver positions. Both are great route runners, and the defense will play much better. I think Matt Eberflus, as horrible as he is as a head coach, I think he's going to be great going back to being defensive coordinator. I think this is actually an upgrade over what we had with Mike Zimmer after we lost Dan Quinn, that became the head coach of the Washington Commanders. So I think this team is definitely going to improve this year. I think we're going to take the right step of direction moving forward. I'm not saying Super Bowl like these other delusional Dallas Cowboys fans, but definitely I think we're going to win 10 games or more next year in the NFC Conference. Now, 3 teams I do believe will take a step back. Team number 1 on my list is going to be the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints are going to be the worst team in the National Football League this year. I'm claiming it that the Saints will have the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. I think this team is honestly going to be lucky if they can win 2 to 3 games next year. Last year, they went 5-12 after a 2-0 start. Derek Carr retired. They don't really have much to really lean on talent-wise in New Orleans right now. And don't get me wrong, Kellen Moore was a great head coach hire for the future. I've already seen the potential that he had, the days where he was calling plays with the Dallas Cowboys. He just helped the Philadelphia Eagles have one of the best offenses in the league and helped them win another Super Bowl title. But I just don't think that Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave are good enough to win title or compete right now in the NFC. And again, I think they're going to win 2 to 3 games. First overall pick is definitely in the conversation for the New Orleans Saints. They're going to be one of the worst teams in football. Now, next team on the list will be the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Colts are doomed to take a step backwards. They already finished 8-9 last year. They missed the playoffs in the AFC, and Anthony Richardson, who was supposed to be a great project pick with Shane Steichen that loves to run quarterbacks in the RPO system. We saw his success that he had with Jalen Hurts years ago in Philadelphia before he became the Colts head coach. But Anthony Richardson is becoming a bust. And his body language on the field, tapping yourself out of the game in the fourth quarter, being the leader on the offensive side of the ball at the quarterback position, tapping yourself out of the game like you play running back or receiver. No, you don't do that. And he has not improved. He's actually, his game has decreased and he's starting to decline. So he's getting worse every time he gets on the field. And the fact that he's having a quarterback battle with Daniel Jones just is the writing on the wall with the quarterback room with the Indianapolis Colts. And if Daniel Jones outbeats Anthony Richardson, you might as well put him on the trade block. There's no coming back from that, especially somebody that has only, won one primetime game since he's been an NFL starter, and he's been in the league since 2019, so that's a problem to me. But their offense has actually gotten worse, especially up in the trenches up front. They lost 2 key starters on the offensive line. They lost Ryan Kelly. They lost Will Fries. Both of them went to the Minnesota Vikings during free agency. I think this team is, I don't think the AFC South is going to be a good division, but I wouldn't count out the Houston Texans. I think they're going to win the division. The Jacksonville Jaguars are set to improve. The Tennessee Titans aren't going to be punching bags anymore because they just got Cam Ward with the first overall pick, and he's going to turn around the franchise. I just don't think this team is going to win more than 7 games. And they play a total of 8 teams that finished with double-digit victories last year. So I think the Colts are set to move in the wrong direction, take a step back forward from an 8-9 record that they had last year. And final team on the list is going to be the Miami Dolphins. This is another team in the AFC that finished 8-9 last year. Tyreek Hill had a huge drop-off year after leading the league in receiving yards, leading this league in receiving touchdowns, and was voted as the best player in the NFL by his peers as the best NFL player in the 2023 regular season. So he had a step back, and the team has gotten worse. Raheem Mostert at the running back position, after he had a phenomenal 2023 year, it was released, and he's not a part of the roster anymore. Calais Campbell is gone. Jalen Ramsey is gone. Jonnu Smith is gone. Mike McDaniel, their head coach, as phenomenal and he was with the San Francisco 49ers being their offensive coordinator, it has not translated, his success has not translated to be a great head coach in Miami, because he has a 3-15 record as a head coach against teams that are above 500. If you can't beat teams above 500, what makes you think that anybody's going to make us believe that they're going to be a contending team in the AFC, let alone a contending team for the playoffs. And this is a Miami Dolphins team that cannot compete in the cold, they can't adapt, and they cannot stay healthy all year long, especially with the Tua Tagovailoa injuries and concussions that have unfortunately haunted his NFL career. So I think the Dolphins, I'd say 5 to 7 games at best that they win next year. But those are the following 3 teams I do believe will take a step forward, and the following teams I do believe will take a step back heading into the NFL season. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. I'll see you guys on next week's episode.